Welcome to the 17 Laws of Marriage and the 17 Laws of Parenting studio. I'm excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into it, I just want to share with you that I've changed the format a little bit, which you probably have figured out. And that is, answering all your questions. So send them to Russ at the 17laws.com, and I'll help answering those questions. So I'm not going to typically answer every single one individually. I'm going to group all your questions into certain topics like I am today. And then I'm going to answer them in that, like I am going to today. And I'm excited about today because I'm talking about your health. This is something I get a lot of questions about. And I'm not the health expert. I'm not a health nut, but I'll explain more. Before I get to the first question, I just want to ask a favor. Please follow me on YouTube. I'm trying to get to 100,000 followers. I'm not even close, so thank you in advance for clicking below, get me to the 100, a little bit closer to the 100,000. I don't want to put it off any longer. I want to jump right into the questions that you are most interested about. And today is marriage and your health. So question number one, my husband and I are so busy, and then by the end of the day, we have no energy and pretty much sit in a chair, watch TV, and fall asleep. I would like to put more excitement in a marriage. Do you have any suggestions? Well, I just did a podcast about putting a spark back in your marriage, and I talked about date night and all the fun questions, things you can do, romance, and all that sort of thing. But I think we're talking about health. And basically, I don't feel like doing anything. That's what it sounds like, and I've been there. And a lot of these questions have to do with this. I may come across as a little redundant. I also have a video series. Right now, I took off $500. It was normally $567. Told my marketing guy, hey, take off $500. I just want it in the hands of people. And I have an entire section on this, so it's only $67. Again, you can click below, go right to it, and you can have it in your hands. A lot of topics covered, including intimacy and parenting, you name it, it's in there. But the reason I say that is I have a whole question on health in there as well. Because if you don't feel good, it's hard to put energy into your spouse. And if the most important thing you could do for your kids is have a good marriage, and if the most important person on earth outside of God is your spouse, but you don't feel good, well, that's a problem. And there's several reasons that we don't feel good. Oftentimes, it's our eating habits. You can't out exercise a poor diet. And this isn't me telling you to go on the intermittent fasting diet or the keto or the juicing or whatever, all the other things that I've heard of. But I do know if you don't feel good, that you're not going to have the energy to put in your to pour into the life of your spouse. It's going to be hard. Plus, then you're going to start gaining weight. It might affect cause a whole bunch of other health issues. So this is what I recommend. I would start something. There's a book out called Atomic Habits. And it talks about if you improve 1% a day over the course of a year, and then by the end of the year, you've improved like some really big amount, like 37% or whatever. So, but here's what I see happen. People will say, "Well, I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna sign up right now, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna go for 2 hours a day or an hour a day. I'm gonna get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not gonna eat any sugar for the rest of the year." And none of those things are necessarily bad, but most people don't stick to that. It's hard to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 or whatever and go to the gym. So to just say you're gonna do that is kind of difficult. And say I'm never going to eat sugar again. Well, that you may be the 1%er that actually sticks to it. But my suggestion is start something. For example, let's just say your food. If you're drinking Cokes, we're in the South, we call them all Cokes. So if you're drinking a soft drink or a pop, as some people call it, stop. And if you're drinking diet Cokes, then don't do that either. That messes with your body. You could Google it. It doesn't take you half a second to figure out. That's not very helpful either. So if you're going to stop drinking your sugar and say, okay, I'm just not going to drink my sugar anymore. Just do that, and you'd be surprised how much better you feel in 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Just stop doing that. Let's just suppose that you uh, don't drink sugar, but maybe you eat late at night. Well, and I know you may have a job where it's not possible, not or you have to, but I'm just assuming this isn't the case. Your night might be a different time of the day, but I'm just saying within 3 or 4 or 5 hours of going to bed, don't eat. Just stop eating after blank. Let's say in my house it might be 8 o'clock. I'm not going to eat past 8 o'clock. Well, may not sound like that big a deal to you, but I could sit and watch a movie at 11 o'clock at night and then eat an entire box of Cheez Its or an entire box of Pop Tarts. Um, so I had to stop doing that. So that's some. Just stop something. Next thing you can do is maybe eat a little less. So rather than pile your plate up, pile it halfway up. Rather than going back for thirds, go back for seconds. Rather than go back for seconds, just don't go back for seconds. I'm just saying, start something. Uh, you're used to going by whatever place in your town and getting a sausage biscuit and whatever they have with that, and iced tea or Coke or whatever in the morning. Well, don't go by there. Or one of those things, instead of drink your sugar, don't drink your sugar. Maybe don't get the hash browns or whatever you get with it. Just get the other. Just start somewhere. So that's one of the suggestions I would say. Next thing I would ask you to do is drink lots of water. And then you say, "Oh gosh, Russ, everybody says that." You'll be shocked at how much better you feel if you're drinking lots of water. And if you only drink water, I don't only drink water. Um, I'll drink unsweet tea and water 90 something percent of the time. That's just what I've gotten used to, and what a difference that's made to me. What a difference that has made on my health. I was drinking Cokes, I was drinking Diet Cokes, I was drinking ice, sweet tea, I was drinking whatever, and it made a big difference when I stopped doing all that. All right, the next thing I'll share, and I'll go into the next question. A lot of these run together, so I would also I'd take the same approach on exercising. I'm sure your doctor will tell you what you can and can't do. You probably have a brain, you could figure it out anyway. But for example, if you say, "I'm going to start running 5 miles a day," well, the odds of that are probably not, unless you're already running, it's probably not going to happen. Or, "I'm going to walk 2 hours a day." Well, it's probably not going to happen. Just walk somewhere. There are some things that I've said. Right now, I committed a number of years ago. I'm going to exercise at least 45 minutes a day doing something. And I'm not. And then I finally had to say, because when I was traveling and doing other things, I would use that as an excuse not to. And then I finally had to say, "Hey, I have no excuses. I have to do 45 minutes a day." And does it work 365 days of the year? No, it doesn't. But it works a lot more. So my 45 minutes might be walking, maybe on the elliptical or whatever it may be. It may be weightlifting, because I do that a few times a week. And so it may be whatever it is for you. Now, if you're not used to walking or exercising, well, walk to the mailbox and back a few times, or walk down to the block and back. Something I do now, if I'm by myself, not with my wife, I don't make her walk, but I'll actually park at the very back of the shopping center, whatever you call it. If I'm going to a grocery store or Target or whatever, or Lowe's, I'll park way away. I typically always take the stairs. If I'm in a hotel room, I'm on the fourth floor, I'll use the stairs every single time. Just little things will add up over time. You can imagine, okay, if I walked an extra 100 yards a day for 365 days, what that would mean to your health. Just little things, because in my personality, if I make this big old giant commitment, the odds of me sticking with it are pretty. Like, for example, if you haven't run in a while and you run 5 miles, you're going to be so stinking sore for so long that you don't want to run. You're going to say, "I hate this." You're going to go the next day, "Oh, I hate this." And then you're going to say, "Hey, forget it. Give me that box of Pop Tarts." I've been there. I understand. But so I'm saying, on your eating habits and on your exercise habits, just do something today. Make it a little, just tiny little steps, and then by the end of the year you go, oh my gosh, I've lost 10 pounds, or I feel so much better. There's a lot more to this. Um, Let me jump to the next question. Hey Russ, we keep telling ourselves we're going to start going to the gym to improve our health, but it never seems to happen. How can we motivate ourselves to go to the gym? Now that's an interesting question. If you're waiting on something else to motivate you, then you're probably not going to be successful in any area in your life. Like Michael Jordan, nobody had to tell him to go practice basketball. There's some. I have friends and family who are in the medical world. Nobody had to tell them to go study. In fact, I've got one in our family who studies all the time because they want to know, and nobody's. Well, I'm just sitting around waiting on somebody to motivate me. No, for me, I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like exercising every day, but I've got a different mindset. So this is the mindset I would like to suggest that you have, that I impart to you. It's kind of who I am. I'm a guy who who works out. I'm not trying to. That's just who I am. I'm gonna go to the gym, and because I've got the mindset of I'm a guy who works out, then I go to the gym. I'm not waiting on someone. It's like when you go to work. Nobody has to motivate you to go to work. You just go to work. Nobody motivates you to feed your children. You're a parent who feeds your children. That's who you are. So change your mindset from I'm waiting to get motivated to get healthy. Said, no, I'm a healthy person. I'm a person who's concerned about their health. That's just my makeup. So that's why I am going to go to the gym, because that's just who I am. I'm just a person who eats well. Now, I say that like I'm trying to convince myself. I eat well most of the time. I don't eat great, but I eat pretty good most of the time. So that changing your mindset. The other thing you can do is set your alarm to go to the gym, um, and then actually go to the gym. Now, this may sound a little crazy, but I've had people do this. Go to the gym, stay there 5 minutes, and then leave. Stay 20 minutes and leave. Then stay 25 minutes and leave. But you'll get in the habit of saying, I'm just a guy who goes to the gym. Something else I would suggest on the gym. Whatever time you pick, you may say, I want to go at 4 o'clock in the morning. But if you're not a morning person, it's probably not going to happen. Maybe on your lunch hour you could go. Maybe you start at 5 minutes and 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and work your way up to it. Maybe it takes you 90 days or 6 months to get to it, but just slowly get into it. If you jump all in and you go for 2 hours, you're going to be so sore you're not going to want to go back. That's just how it works. But if you're waiting on someone else to motivate you to do the right thing in any topic, name the topic, you're probably not going to do well. You do the right thing because it's what's best, and that's who you are. All right, next one. Russ, you keep telling us we need to eat healthier, but we are so busy with our kids and jobs that it's impossible to have time to fix a nice dinner before we take our kids to the practices. How do you handle this when you said you figured this out? Well, I figured it out the hard way, gaining a bunch of weight and eating a lot of nasty food and lots of drive-thrus and all that. And we finally said, you know what, this isn't good for anybody. And we just had to plan a little better. So if we sometimes if you're gonna, let's say on Sunday, cook something, cook 3 times as much so you'll have it on those days. Another thing is crock pots are your friend. There's no reason why you couldn't throw something in a crock pot in the morning, and then that afternoon when y'all get ready to go, hey, it's already ready, so you're not scrambling. Everything that I'm sharing with you is planning. What's happening in this question, what I perceive to be happening is it's mom and dad, and it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we've got basketball, ballet, soccer, whatever the case may be, and we got to run out the door. Oh gosh, what are we going to do for dinner? That's probably what's happening. But if you plan ahead and say, okay, part of the Sunday planning process for your date nights and all that is, okay, what are we going to do for Monday night? We're going to do Tuesday night. Oh, we have ball games. What are we going to do for food? And you don't want your kids eating junk food all the time. You're concerned about them, so you don't want to eat it, and you don't want to gain 50 pounds every soccer season. What's the good in that? So that's what I would offer you, is to plan ahead, and if you do, that'll help. The other thing, a quick side note: it's not the wife's job, in my opinion, to always do the planning for the food. Why can't the husband help do that? Or it's also not always the husband's job. Why can't the wife? It's a team effort. So if you put it all on one, it's possibly not going to be fair or well received or last. So do a little better job of planning. And if you're truly on the road, I could name 50 things off the top of my head that you could eat in your car on the way to practice. Another thing that really messed us up is not eating before practice. And that meant that practice, like football practice or whatever, might be over at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and then all of a sudden we're going to a drive-through at 10 o'clock at night after a basketball game. That's not a good place to be. And we did that, and we finally said, no, we've got to figure out a way to feed these kids and get everybody fed before that, even if we're going 10 different directions. All right. Last question before we go for the day. This one's a good one. I'm excited about answering this question. So today's not going to be a super long video. It says, I'm tired when I get home. I have zero desire to go to the gym, and I know I need to go to the gym. My wife seems to have more energy to go for a walk in the evenings, but I'm done. How do I get motivated? Well, this is asking the same question. I get this all the time, and one is, if you're waiting on somebody else to motivate you, you're probably not going to be successful. I just mentioned that. And I look at it a little different too. If I don't exercise, I feel worn down. If I don't walk or get on the elliptical or run or whatever it is, a workout, I feel worse. And they feel worse because I don't feel like going to the gym. Well, I go to the gym because I don't want to feel bad. So there's something it's kind of backwards, as you can imagine. But how do you get motivated? Well, there's another side of health that I'd like to bring up. I don't know how old this couple is. They don't mention kids. I don't know if that means they don't have any yet or their kids are gone, whatever the case may be. But more and more, because of people's diet, lack of exercise, hormones are more screwed up now than ever. They're in the news and there's articles about it. Used to, it would be 70-year-old women had to have had to deal with hormone issues, and now there's men and women in their 20s and 30s whose hormones are screwed up. Maybe it's genetic, maybe it's our environment, our poor eating habits, or the stress we're under. I don't know. I have no idea. It may be all those things. But if you're, say, 30 plus years old and you don't have any energy when you get home, now I don't know what you do for a living. I mean, if you're laying blocks all day in 99-degree heat, yeah, I could see where you'd be worn out. But if you got a job where that's not the case, I mean, you should be able to function more than 8 hours a day. I think we're made to do that. So I would really recommend going to a doctor that would check your hormones. Don't go to urgent care. You could do that, but they're going to send you to a doctor. In most towns, if you can afford it, there's usually a self-pay doctor that focuses on your health, and they got tired of working in the industry where there was having to deal with all the insurance and all that, and they just want to help people. But it's all cash. It's pretty expensive. Even though it's expensive, it's worth it if you can afford it. But if you can't go to your regular doctor and get all those tests done, you can look it up online. But your thyroid, it's not just one thyroid; it's all the thyroid tests and all the testosterone and all the estrogen and all the DHEA and all the blood work, and you just name it. Just get it all checked out, and you'll be surprised. It's oftentimes that one or two little things it's just out of whack for whatever reason. It could be because you were sick earlier in the year. It could be anything. It could be just stress. But you're probably going to find that something's not right. A normal, healthy human being shouldn't be coming home and not having enough energy to function. I have some doctor friends who would say that, hey, that oftentimes people wouldn't go to the doctor, and they say, I'm just tired, I'm just worn out, I'm just stressed out, I have all this going on in my life. But no, there could be something wrong and fixable that's very fixable. It, if you don't feel good and your joints hurt or this and you just can't get up, man, go get that checked out. Now, once you get the information, I'm not saying get you on a bunch of pills. I would say whatever the health is. A lot of times it's diet. I remember when my wife was hurting for some time and we did one of those food allergy things and found out there was something that she really liked that was really kicking her butt. And she took that out of her diet and completely changed. Who knew? We were just living with it and didn't have to. I'm not for you getting a bunch of pills and going that route. Uh, well, this is a short one today. I hope it helps. This is your health in your marriage. If you don't feel good, that's all you're thinking about is the fact that you don't feel good. But when you do feel good, then you can pour in your life into your family, into your, especially your spouse, and families where one doesn't feel good, and they're just going to say, "Hey, I'm just not going to feel good." Those marriages oftentimes don't last because they're not. Whoever doesn't feel good is so focused on their health that they don't have time for anybody else or don't feel like investing in their spouse. And I know some people have some real serious illnesses. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm just talking about everyday life stuff that happens to us. And if you don't feel good because you eat terrible, for your family's sake, start doing something. If you don't feel good because you don't exercise at all, start doing something. If you don't feel good because other health reasons you don't know why, maybe you gained a bunch of weight and you have no idea why, go to the doctor and get that checked out. Your family will thank you. Your spouse will thank you. It is so important you do that. It's so important to your marriage because best thing you can give your children is a good marriage, and the most important person on earth outside of God in your life is your spouse. So get to feeling good so that you can actually be who you need to be. Hope this helps. Thank you for listening in and watching in on the 17 Laws of Marriage, 17 Laws of Parenting. And again, please follow me on YouTube.